This is how to make a supernova, and today we're going to make cave tiles. A few months ago I made a video about how I upgraded my dungeon tiles, and in a comment Wiki53 asked me if I already made some cave tiles. And I didn't make some cave tiles at that point, but I thought it would be a very cool idea to experiment with some other techniques, and because they are visually very different from my dungeon tiles. So let's go. So for this project I'm going to use the same 10 by 10 centimeter tiles I used for my other tiles, so later on I can connect them like this, no problem. But I was thinking, when I'm going to make some kind of cave tile, it needs some kind of walls, so it simulates the cave. Because when I wouldn't do that, it's just going to be some sand and maybe some moss or flowers or something. But it's not necessarily a cave. It also could be something of a large open field with just a lot of sand and stuff there. So we're going to need some walls. My first idea was to make a large wall, something like this, and also put one on this side. But when we do that, we're going to have some problems. One of the problems is visibility for all the players, because when I have a wall over here and a wall over here, not all the players are going to see what's happening inside the cave. The second problem is going to be storing these blocks. When they are flat, it's nice and easy, but when they have walls on both sides, it's going to take up much more space I don't have. The third problem is placing your miniatures, because when there are two walls here and you're going to put your miniatures in here and maybe some larger monsters or dragons or whatever, yeah, that's going to be a problem. So we're not going to use the large walls, but we're going to use some small walls, and this fixes all the problems. All players can see everything at the same time. It's way easier to store these things, and placing miniatures is way easier, and even placing some large monsters won't be a problem. So this is the way to go. So the first thing I need to do is to make the 10 by 10 tiles and also the wall pieces, and I'm going to use my hot wire foam cutter to do that. But when you don't have one, you can also use your normal hobby knife. The basic shape is done, and now we're going to make it look more like a cave. But when you do that, you're always looking for a balance between what looks cool and the playability. The first thing what I'm going to do is to fix these 90-degree angles, and to do that I'm going to use some sculptor mold, and I'm going to put it in the corners to get a more organic transition from these walls to the floors. Then I'm going to use some tree bark to get some interesting rock formations. And talking about balance, here's a larger piece of tree bark, and it looks way cooler, but it is not suitable for this project. It looks cool, but we're going to have some problems with the placing of the models. So this smaller piece is way more suitable, and it gives you a lot more maneuverability with your models. All the tiles got a black base coat, and now it's time for the actual painting. And I was thinking, well, which colors I'm going to use, and I'm already sure I'm not going to use gray, because my dungeon tiles are gray already, and I want another feeling for the cave tiles. And I was thinking about more of a fantasy vibe, so mainly I'm going to use some purples and some blues.
The frontiers of the future are not on any map. But now, what's ahead of us?
This is what we have so far, and the next step is to do some dry brushing. And for the dry brushing, I'm going to use the same colors I already used in my airbrush, but right now I'm going to mix some gray in them. And this way I desaturate the colors and they're less bright, and it will give you a more realistic effect for our fantasy tiles. The dry brushing is done, and the next step is to use some washes. And to stay in this magical fantasy feeling, I'm going to use different kind of colors to make some washes. And I'm just going to put it on the tiles to get a very interesting, a bit of magical feeling.
To what new horizons can we look now? Where are tomorrow's opportunities? The frontiers of the future are not on any map. But now, what's ahead of us?
The washes are dry, and the next detail we're going to add are these tiny mushrooms. But before we can paint them, I want to talk to you about some color choices. Because maybe you have noticed that for the cave floor, I'm only using warm colors. I'm using red, there is some brown, and different kinds of purple. So to make these mushrooms stand out more, I'm going to use a cold minty green color and then go from there. I'm going to use some jade green, and I think I'm going to mix it with some ice yellow to get that nice vibrant minty color, but let's see how that goes. A huge shout out to Wiki53 for being the inspiration for this project. And if you have some new ideas for some things I can build, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to know more about building your own dungeon tiles, I suggest you watch this video, or maybe this video is more interesting for you. See you next time.